So today, lads, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Fever GM and an interview that she did where you can tell by the way she's talking about these players who is very likely to make this team.
After trading away the 8th pick, Indiana Fever fans were left wondering who the team would target in the WNBA draft. That uncertainty didn't last long. The Fever's general manager may have unintentionally revealed their draft strategy during a post-selection interview. Her enthusiasm was unmistakable when she spoke about Michaela Tempson, specifically highlighting her 6 feet 10 inches wingspan and elite defensive instincts. In contrast, her comments about other draftees came across as far less enthusiastic, giving fans a clear hint about who the franchise truly views as a cornerstone for the future.
We can be honest here. There is a player that we all kind of think is going to make the team.
Let's be honest. There's one player we all suspect is a lock to make the team. The general manager's interview offered more than just surface-level commentary. It became a revealing blueprint. She stumbled over Yavin's name and gave a rushed summary of Bree Hall's credentials, barely scratching the surface. These subtle but telling moments spoke volumes. Like a poker player's unconscious tell, her word choices and tone unintentionally outlined the Fever's priorities. It's clear who's truly in the mix to join Caitlin Clark on the final roster. So let's break it down. Here's what the interview really told us.
The WNBA draft, or we all had the WNBA draft, picked up 3 new players. And how are their stats going to complement the roster now?
Yeah, we had second and third round picks this year, so 19, 20, and 33. So we picked a little later than number one, right? The last couple of years.
Did you catch that subtle yet revealing interview with the Fever GM? It wasn't just another routine press conference. It was practically a window into their entire draft strategy. Without directly spelling it out, she laid the blueprint bare. What made it so compelling was how her tone, level of detail, and enthusiasm shifted dramatically when she spoke about the players selected at picks 19, 20, and 33. Her vocal inflections and word choices acted like emotional breadcrumbs, leading straight to the team's real priorities. It was less about what she said, and more about how she said it.
So pleased with where we landed. Picked up Michaela Tempson out of Florida State at number 19. Unbelievable defensive player. She's 6'2", but has a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
She's the only player in the country to average 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. So we're really excited about her.
When the GM spoke about Michaela Tempson from Florida State, she shifted from a standard interview tone to full-on scouting mode. Her energy surged as she praised Tempson's defensive prowess, describing her as an unbelievable defensive player. The specifics stood out. Tempson's precise height of 6 feet 2 inches, a commanding 6 feet 10 inches wingspan, and a well-rounded stat line. It wasn't just admiration. It felt like projection. You could see the GM mentally placing her in the Fever's rotation, already envisioning her impact. The enthusiasm wasn't casual. It was the kind you reserve for a cornerstone piece.
Hall out of South Carolina, championship pedigree, was teammates with Aaliyah Boston in South Carolina, won a couple of championships down there. Elite perimeter defender, can really do a lot of things on the defensive end.
In contrast, when the GM shifted to talking about Bree Hall from South Carolina, the change in tone was immediate. The enthusiasm faded, replaced by broad, surface-level comments like championship pedigree and elite perimeter defender. These phrases often signal respect, but not investment. There were no numbers, no breakdown of strengths, just vague nods that felt more like formalities than genuine praise. And then came Yavin Young, who received the briefest, most awkward mention of all. A hesitant, followed by a quick correction and move-on moment. It was clear, not all picks were created equal in the Fever's eyes, and the subtext said more than the words ever could.
So yeah, for 2 of these players, she's basically just listed off. But when she's talking about Michaela Tempson, it's, she's 6'2", she's elite defender, 6'2", 6'10" wingspan. She's the only player in D1 to do this, to get these numbers, there's 17, 10, and 3 blocks.
The GM's handling of Yavin Young's introduction was a textbook example of what not to do if you're trying to project confidence in a new draft pick. She stumbled right out the gate, calling her Yavin Turner before awkwardly correcting herself, a slip that immediately signaled unfamiliarity. Her follow-up description was alarmingly bare. A quick nod to Young being a great post player with potential, and a mention of her being Canadian. That's not analysis, it's filler. This mirrored the classic ESPN draft breakdown formula. Top prospects get the VIP treatment. Wingspan stats, advanced analytics, breakdowns of specific skills in real game contexts. Meanwhile, borderline roster players get vague praise like great energy or fit to need. The GM's interview was no different. Michaela Timpson got the full spotlight. Height, wingspan, defensive versatility, potential rotation impact. Bree Hall and Young, generic buzzwords and quick exits. It wasn't just an interview. It was a roster depth chart in disguise.
For Bree Hall, it was like, yeah, Bree Hall, good defender. She's won 2 national championships, played with Aaliyah Boston. And then for Yvonne Ejim, didn't even get her name right. Called her Yvonne Turner. I have no idea who Yvonne Turner is, but I would assume the lack of excitement for that one. But obviously, when Amber started listing Timpson's stats and wingspan, and that's realistically it, like.
What's especially telling here is how the GM's language maps almost perfectly onto roster probability. This isn't just casual conversation, it's strategic subtext. Michaela Timpson? She got the scouting combine highlight reel, wingspan numbers, positional breakdowns, defensive upside, all the signals of someone the franchise sees as a core contributor. That level of specificity is never accidental. It's what front offices say when they've already penciled a player into the depth chart. Bree Hall? The classic resume headline, championship pedigree, and elite defender. It's respectful, but non-committal, like a polite nod that says, you're good, but not guaranteed. And Yavin Young? Name fumble, no numbers, and a generic nod to her being Canadian and having potential. That's the basketball exec version of a soft exit ramp. GMs rarely say, this player's getting cut, but they don't have to, the lack of detail says it for them. The GM didn't just talk about the picks, she unintentionally previewed the final roster decisions. Timpson's already in the plan. Hall might be battling for a spot. Young? She's likely on the bubble. The interview might as well have been a roster blueprint dressed up as a press conference.
But I think they were fine trading that pick. A big reason for that is because they were like a lot of teams. They probably thought they could get who they wanted at 19. Or they could get somebody they wanted at 19.
By moving the 8th pick, the Fever signaled they weren't interested in chasing potential or hoping a rookie could develop fast enough to help Caitlin Clark right away. They wanted immediate, veteran impact. Enter Dana Bonner, someone who already knows how to operate within the structured, high IQ system they're building around Clark. This wasn't about saving cap space or taking a flyer, it was about timeline alignment. Clark's arrival demands a ready-made system, not a development project. The Fever saw that Dana Bonner's skill set, floor spacing, corner shooting, smart rotations, was exactly what they needed more than anything they could have landed at. No, the move says, we're not playing the long game. We're trying to win right now. And with the way they're building, it looks like they mean it.
And they would rather have Sophie Cunningham and Michaela Timpson is better than the 8th pick, which is Sanaya Rivers, and I stand by that. Like, I think if you ask the Fever, do they want Sanaya Rivers, or would they rather Sanaya Rivers or Michaela Timpson? I think you're going to say Timpson.
Seneca Rivers is an athletic, defensive-minded player, but in a Caitlin Clark-led system, shooting is non-negotiable. Clark warps defenses with her vision and gravity. If you surround her with players who can't reliably hit open shots, you're wasting one of her greatest assets. It's not that Rivers is a bad player. It's that she's the wrong fit. The Fever's GM was practically glowing when discussing their later picks because they didn't just fall into decent prospects. They targeted players who directly complement Clark's strengths. Players like Michaela Timpson, with defensive versatility and a long wingspan, and veterans like Dana Bonner, who can knock down corner threes and space the floor, are ideal. They maximize Clark's passing lanes, open up the offense, and help on the other end of the floor. That's not just smart drafting. That's strategic team building. And it shows the Fever aren't caught up in names or hype. They're building functionally with a clear identity in mind. Surround your superstar with the tools she needs to dominate from day one.
A lockdown defender who can't shoot the ball. Like, again, I don't think Sanaya Rivers would be a bad option for them, just purely because, again, she is locked down and she can run the floor and can run with Caitlin Clark. But, like,
The Fever's strategy is clear and smart. Trading the 8th pick allowed them to get Michaela Tempson at 19, who offers both defense and scoring, filling a crucial need next to Caitlin Clark. Adding veteran Dana Bonner strengthens the team's experience, creating a balanced roster that enhances Clark's game. Instead of just filling spots, the Fever made calculated decisions that complement their star and set them up for future success.